Blawan SickElixir, which is not easy to say. Pitchfork gave it an 8 out of 10 and said gnarled grooves and unintelligible vocals interact at uncanny angles on the British producer's new album, which amplifies his pugnacious style into a brutish, unhinged G-stolt. I don't know what G-stolt means. Initial impression was this is going to be just over the line of too hard work. It was attention grabbing for sure. You know, I wasn't sure if it was trying to be serious or funny. It had sort of elements of both for sure. It was like if DJ Shadow had a breakdown, you know, it might sound a little bit like this. Track 2 was a little bit more coherent, but just a little bit. I guess it's distorted techno, if you had to put it into a pigeonhole, you know, which would not ruin, but make any dance floor a lot more difficult for its partakers, that's for sure. You know, there's elements of funk BR, if I'm being nice, but to me it lacked the soul of that early on. You know, I found myself falling into it though after a little while. You know, the lyrics bothered me. It's sort of like that love metal. It was like a death metal vocal, but electronic. And I just wish he hadn't bothered. It was so much better when he wasn't making any vocal noise, because musically it was really, really interesting. And by the end, I actually found myself, you know, tracks like Birth Song had a sort of gold pandas about it, and I was quite enjoying myself. There was a certain funkiness to it. You know, it's not overly samey either, as I thought it would be at the beginning. You know, there's similar in their mad techno bonkersness, but each hold their own, and they offered something different. You know, there was grooves in there later on, right? You know, there were grooves rather than songs though, like snippets of good ideas put together, but clever stuff. And you know, after my first impression of Jingos, you know, there was actually some real talent behind it. You know, there's a bit of dubstep in there, a bit of early hip-hop, electro stuff. And after fearing the worst, I had a rather good time in the end. I don't think it's quite good enough for 10 listens. I think it would do my head in if I did do 10 more. So I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. But you might want to like this if you like your stuff a little bit different. Give it a go. So yeah, please like and subscribe. 7 out of 10.